Good morning and welcome to the February 23rd, 2023 meetings of the City of Lakeland Historic Preservation Board and Design Review Committee. The board and committee meet monthly to review proposals for changes to properties located within the city's 7 historic districts and buildings designated as local historic landmarks, as well as to conduct other historic preservation-related business consistent with Article 11 of the Land Development Code. The board is made up of Lakeland citizens appointed by the City Commission and is assisted by staff of the Community and Economic Development Department and the City Attorney's Office. The first meeting comprises the Historic Preservation Board agenda, where business of the board is handled, including recommendations of new historic designations. The second meeting consists of the Design Review Committee agenda and involves acting on recommendations from staff regarding certificate of review applications for major work proposed to properties within the historic districts or local landmark buildings. The Design Review Committee is a standing subcommittee of the Historic Preservation Board. Public input is welcomed for items on the Design Review Committee's agenda, and we invite everyone who wishes to participate to be heard. We ask that all speakers come up to the central podium, state their name and address for the record, and be concise in their comments. Thank you for your interest and participation, and please silence all mobile devices at this time. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to our board chair, Mr. Christopher Olson.
Thanks, Emily. All right, the February 23rd, 2023 meeting, Historic Preservation Board is called to order. First item of business will be taking roll call to determine quorum. Myself, Christopher Olson, here. Melinda Rinker.
Here.
Bruce Anderson.
Here.
Lynn Dennis.
Here.
Landis Fleming.
Here.
Natalie Oldenkamp.
Here.
Cesar Perez. Here. And Michael Porter.
Here.
All right, we are completely stocked. All right, we do have a quorum. Let's see. Any questions on the previous board minutes that were sent out?
I move we accept them.
Second.
All right. All in favor of adoption of the January 26, 2023 Historic Preservation Board meeting minutes presented, say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Any nays? Okay, it's unanimous. It's old business, but we're still covering it, right? Are we going to do some more? Okay, can you update us then on the status of the surveys?
Sure. So the draft report and recommendations from our consultant, Paleo West, was submitted last month, and we have reviewed it and also sent it to the state for their comments and feedback. So all of the edits that were compiled are going back to the consultant for drafting the final report, and that we should get next month by March 24th. So I will have a formal report for you in April, for the April meeting, to give you their recommendations.
Okay, great. We'll be able to review that then at that time?
Yes, and in fact, it's a pretty lengthy report, but I will email it out to all the board members before the April meeting.
Were staff pleased with the?
Yes, very much. Yes.
With the Munn Park, we've had discussions about it, and we got all kinds of things in the paper and everything. What's the current status of this?
To my knowledge, feedback is still being received, and the city manager's office is handling that. I don't think anything's been decided yet because it still needs to be planned out and budgeted for. So I don't have an exact time frame for you for what would be happening, but I can tell you that any permanent structure that is proposed for Munn Park, the Design Review Committee would be reviewing that.
So at a minimum, though, if it's not in the CIP budget for this year, that would mean it'd probably be something that would be reviewed next year?
Probably. Yep. Good question.
All right, any other old business?
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because I was out of town when they had the things, and I was like,
Yeah.
then I saw it in the paper and went,
Yeah.
All right, well, new business. I think you're short a person on the Design and Review Committee. Staff recommends the appointment of Natalie Oldenkamp to the Design and Review Committee. Do we have a motion?
I would like to motion to approve Natalie.
I'll second it.
All right, All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thanks, yeah.
Welcome to the Design Review Board. Okay. Any other new business that we need to discuss? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We're gonna stay there forever.
All right, we're adjourned. It's up to you.
My turn.
Your turn.
Okay, we're going to call this to order. The February 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Design Review Committee is called to order, with the first item of business being a roll call and determination of a quorum. Myself, present. Chris Olson,
Present?
Lynn Dennis. Here. Landis Fleming,
Here.
Natalie Oldenkamp. Here. Cesar Perez.
Here.
Michael Porter.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Are there any corrections to the board minutes from last month? Or additions to them?
Move for approval.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, say nay, or yes? No. Okay, so moved. The cases that are up next are going to be reviewed by the committee, and we shall start from there. Let's see. We're going into the public hearing portion of the meeting, and the committee is ready to consider certificates of review applications. And Ramona.
Yep, Siriani.
Siriani, our Deputy City Attorney, would you administer the oath for all who wish to testify during this?
Good morning, everyone. If you are planning on coming before the Design Review Committee to speak today, if I could ask you this time to stand and raise your right hand, and I will swear you in. Do you swear affirm the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Turn it back over to our chair.
Okay, and I'm going to back up real quick. The certificates of review that are on page 10 here of our thing, is there any questions or concerns or commentary on those?
There's a fairly short list and a lot of fence applications.
Yep.
Thanks to hurricanes. Okay. The first case we're going to hear is HPB 23-016, 1017 South Boulevard. Final approval requested for the construction of a new detached garage and accessory dwelling unit on the subject property. Owner is Mr. Martin Walters, the applicant, Prebar 3 Architecture. Are there any conflicts of interest with the board or committee members here? Okay, and Emily, would you read the staff recommendations, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the subject property consists of one interior lot of record consisting of 0.16 acres and has alley access to the rear of the property. On the property is a one-story single-family house constructed circa 1925 in the bungalow architectural style, which is a contributing building in the South Lake Morton Historic District. Features expressing the bungalow style include the cross-gable roof, front-gabled front porch, and tapered porch columns on brick plinths. According to the Polk County Property Appraiser's Office, the total living area of the house is 1,291 square feet. The applicant requests to construct a two-story garage apartment in the rear yard, which is proposed to be 23 feet 4 inches by 23 feet 4 inches. The new building is proposed to consist of a 544 square feet garage on the ground floor and a similar size studio apartment on the second floor, accessed by an external stair. The second story apartment will feature a full-width balcony on the east elevation of the building. Materials proposed to be used for the garage apartment include a concrete slab on-grade foundation, stucco over masonry cladding on the ground floor with fiber cement lap siding on the second floor, fiber cement trim, casing, and corner boards, Vinyl single hung sash windows with a 3/1 light configuration. Steel overhead garage door, fiberglass entry doors with full or partial glazing. Fiberglass shingles on a 6/12 pitch roof. Fiber cement or PVC fascia. And the stairs and balcony will be pressure treated wood. The site plan submitted for this request shows building setbacks of 5 feet from the interior or south property line and 15 feet from the rear property line. A new 21 feet 4 inches wide concrete driveway connecting to the garage from the alley is proposed, as well as a single concrete parking space placed in the rear yard. The site plan complies with the Land Development Code pertaining to accessory dwelling units. And these are just renderings provided by the architect. So this request was evaluated using the standards and design guidelines listed here. And in evaluating the request with the standards, staff finds that the garage apartment does not disturb the spatial relationships of the principal house, and the essential form and integrity of the existing house is maintained. New but similar materials will be used on the garage, which will be complementary in nature to the design of the house. In evaluating the request with the design guidelines, staff finds that the subordinate scale of the garage apartment and its simplified design to be consistent with the design guidelines. Staff finds the materials and design of the window, doors, balcony, and roof pitch to be consistent with the guidelines. And the structure is appropriately located to the rear of the lot with vehicular access from the alley. This structure is compatible with the development pattern in the Lake Morton neighborhood, in which accessory dwellings are commonly found in both historic and contemporary form. For compliance with the Land Development Code subsection 4.3.2 regarding accessory dwelling units, as well as approval for compatibility review by the Planning and Zoning Board, the maximum square footage of the ADU will need to be reduced from 544 square feet to 516 square feet based on the living area square footage of the principal house. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions to be approved by staff prior to permitting. Number 1, use fiber cement lap siding with a maximum exposure of 6 inches. Number 2, windows must be installed with a recess to provide a shadow line instead of flush to the exterior wall. Simulated divided light muntins must be dimensional and mounted to the exterior glass. And number 3, use a straight eave return instead of a boxed or quote-unquote pork chop eave return. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, we would like to ask the applicant for evidence in support of the request. Is the applicant here?
Victor Prebor, 130 South Massachusetts Avenue. The one thing, the square footage, I think there's a little dispute on the square footage. We did an actual measurement of the site, and that square footage is a little different from the square footage that was.
From the property appraiser's office? Okay.
Right. So,
As long as it meets that 40% maximum of the principal house, then you're good to go.
so that's great. All right. It's actually been one of the easiest ones we have because we're pretty much mimicking the existing house. Only change we had to make was on the balcony. The existing porch is a solid stem wall. We opened it up, but we went ahead and used a horizontal railing system just to kind of mimic it. So from a distance, you still have that horizontal line, so we maintain the integrity of the overall form. And on the renderings, it showed concrete masonry on the ground floor, which we will do because of the garage and termites. It was shown on the renderings as siding, and on the other on stucco. The owner's intention was to do siding, and then he had requested, well, just in case, because he hasn't priced everything out now, if it was approved, to go either way, because I prefer to do the siding because that's really kind of matches everything, but just want to make sure it was okay to go either way.
Either siding or the stucco on the ground floor
ground
is
floor.
is acceptable.
Okay, all right. Other than that, I think it's, should comply, okay.
Okay, is there any public comment for support or opposition to the request of the audience, from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we're going to call upon the committee members. Are there any, first of all, any conflicts of interest here? Okay, seeing none, let's see. The committee members, would you like to ask any questions regarding the request? I actually have a question. The bottom floor is a garage or an apartment?
Garage.
Garage, okay. I missed that somewhere, and then I'm like looking at the picture, so, okay. Anything else?
No, the only question I had, I think he already clarified with why it said stucco on some, but then the 3D imagery is with the lap siding. I don't know how the rest feel. I would personally say that stucco is, I wouldn't want to allow that, period, because it doesn't fit with the home at all. But if they prefer the lap siding, then that's certainly what I would prefer myself too. So, and I think it's the most consistent with it, and that's why I'm sure we all like the imagery. It looks like it fits with the rest of it, and it's certainly consistent with the neighborhood. So,
The house up front is all siding though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm completely opposite of that, preferring the siding, but that's,
no, I prefer the siding. I don't.
oh, you
I would,
prefer the siding?
I would prefer the siding. I don't think stucco would fit at all with the home or the neighborhoods. You just really don't see stucco on a bungalow style. It would make it something different if it was.
That's my exact thought there on that. Okay. Any other commentary for the public portion? Okay, we're going to end the public portion, and it's time for committee discussion with regress to consistency of standards and whatnot. Anything else?
Okay, the staff recommendations is only for siding. So if we approve it according to staff recommendations, that would be the siding, correct?
Oh, and Mr. Fleming, let me clarify that recommendation. So that was just to condition that where siding is used, that they use a maximum exposure of 6 inches for the siding. So it was just giving a dimension to the siding exposure, not requiring siding on
Where
the
they
entire
do
building.
use it, it
It
would
don't
be.
say that.
Yeah,
It says use fiber cement lap siding.
I could have clarified that, but that was the intent.
So if we're going to, we would need a motion to require siding versus allowing for.
That would need to be part of your motion, yes.
Okay. Anything else? Does anybody, anything else? Okay, anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion see if everyone agrees with me to require lap siding along the entire of the building.
Second.
Can we require them to?
I don't.
Because one thing is personal preference of the board, but if it's allowed, we need to make, we can't tie their hands.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I agree. While it is my preference, I think it goes beyond that I think it's most consistent with the home itself, because I'd say if we're going to be consistent with the home, then it should be the brick that's on the plinths up front versus stucco.
since this is an accessory dwelling
Yes.
and not an addition to the existing historic structure, I think there's some leeway that can be had in that we ought to allow them the option of stucco if they want on the accessory building.
But is that stucco all the way, or?
No,
Just that
just on the
first-
ground floor.
Just at the first garage level?
Yeah,
If we don't want stucco, then we gotta change the guidelines.
yeah, exactly.
Right. And
We can't.
Ms. Dennis is correct. The past precedent of the board has been to allow a little bit of flexibility with accessory structures in terms of materials. Stucco is a material that is found in the historic districts. Granted, I understand Mr. Porter's argument as well that this particular house doesn't have stucco on it. So I will leave that to the committee's discretion.
Which hopefully it will end up being siding, because he said that that's their preference. It's just a budget issue, so.
So was that a motion per staff recommendation?
No,
That was just a motion
that was-
for the siding only, so.
And if I could weigh on my own motion, I'd say if it fails, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on. It's just seeing if everyone else feels that the same way. I too would greatly prefer, it's just a question of whether we should say that that's the requirement or not. So, again, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on, so.
Okay, and was there a second on that?
Yeah, Ms.
There was a
Owens.
second. Okay, so on the motion to require siding, myself, yes, Chris Olson?
No.
Actually, I'm
wait.
sorry, before we take a vote, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Just to clarify, Mr. Porter, was your motion approving staff recommendation with the additional
With the
condition
addition of.
of requiring siding on the entire?
Lap siding over the entire structure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Natalie, that you're seconding that same, okay.
Great.
So myself,
We can do that?
yes, she is. She just came in this morning. I know.
My first second.
Yay! Too many more. Okay, those in favor, myself, yes. Chris Olson,
No.
Lynn Dennis,
No,
Landis Fleming,
No,
Natalie Oldenkamp,
Yes.
Caesar Perez,
No.
Michael Porter.
Yes.
So does that leave us 3 and
Motion
4?
fails, I believe.
It fails. Okay, so that fails. Is there a motion?
A motion to approve per staff recommendations modifying .1 to if fiber cement lap siding with a maximum exposure of 6 inches is used.
Okay. And is there a second?
second,
Okay. All in favor of the motion? Myself, yes. Chris Olson,
4.
Lynn Dennis,
or,
Landis Fleming,
yes.
Natalie Oldenkamp,
Yes.
Caesar Perez,
Or?
Michael Porter. Okay, and that's approved. We really would prefer the siding because it does go with the front building. It's awesome.
Thank you.
but you have flexibility, Vic.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so that you are approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor.
And thanks for being understanding of that whole waviness there. Okay, the next case is HPB 23-019, 522 East Park Street. Final approval is requested for the new construction of an addition onto the rear elevation of the house on the subject property. The owner is Mr. Michael MacArthur and Ms. Jennifer Smur, applicant Prebor 3 Architecture. Okay. It was.
Actually, that's a typo.
Did I just, okay.
Yeah, its owner applicants are the same. Prebor 3 is not involved with this project. Sorry about that
Oh,
typo.
okay, so not, okay. So the applicant is the owner?
Yes.
Applicant is the owner, okay. That wasn't me, yay. Okay, are there any conflicts on the committee? Okay, and Emily, would you read the staff recommendations, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The subject property is an interior lot of record consisting of .28 acres with alley access to the rear. On this property is a one-story single-family residence built circa 1925 in the bungalow architectural style, which is a contributing building in the South Lake Morton Historic District. The bungalow styling of this house is expressed by a front gabled roof and a front porch with a hipped roof supported by square columns. The house also has novelty siding corner boards, exposed rafter tails, and double hung sash wood windows with a 9/1 light configuration in the prairie style. This home remains in most of its original condition. The current living area of this house is approximately 988 square feet according to the Polk County Property Appraiser's Office. The applicant's request proposes to construct a 2-story addition onto the rear elevation of the home consisting of approximately 1,000 square feet, which will consist of additional living space as well as an additional bedroom and bathroom. The proposed addition will remove 2 existing historical windows and a small shed roof porch on the rear elevation of the house. The addition will be approximately 26 feet 8 inches tall from the finished floor grade to the ridge of the roof, and the design and materials for the addition are intended to be compatible with the existing house. The materials proposed for the addition include a raised foundation to match the existing, wood lap siding to match the profile of the existing novelty siding, corner boards and window and door trim and casing to match existing, aluminum single hung sash windows with a prairie style 9-light upper sash. Windows on the south and east elevation of the addition appear to be fixed windows with 4 and 8 light configurations. The gable profile roof will have a pitch and wood gable vent matching the design of the existing, with fiberglass or asphalt roofing shingles and a wood fascia. An exposed eave and rafter tails to match the existing house will be used. This is just a floor plan of the ground floor that was included in the packet, as well as the second floor there. And the site plan for the proposed addition shows building setbacks that comply with the city's land development code. So the request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced here. And in evaluating the request with the standards, staff finds the requested addition does not disturb the spatial relationships that characterize the neighborhood, and the essential form and integrity of the subject house is maintained. In evaluating the request with the design guidelines, the materials of the proposed addition reflect the original materials of the house and are compatible with the guidelines. The design of the proposed addition's windows, siding, open eave, and exposed rafter tails, and roof pitch and form is consistent with the style and subject of the subject house and design guidelines. Furthermore, the addition is appropriately placed on the rear elevation of the home. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions to be approved by staff prior to permitting. Number 1, siding on the addition must match the exposure dimension and profile of the original siding on the house. Number 2, windows on the addition shall comply with the following requirements. Windows with a divided light appearance must have dimensional muntins/grid installed on the exterior glass. Windows must be recessed to provide a shadow line and not installed flush to the exterior wall surface. And finally, windows must also include historically appropriate trim, including header, sill, and apron. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, is the applicant here? If you would come up, do you have any information to provide or speak to on this?
I don't believe so.
Okay, and what was your name?
My name is Jennifer Smir.
Jennifer Smith, nice to meet you.
Smir.
Smir, okay.
Happens all the time.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And you're okay with all of these staff recommendations?
Yeah, we didn't have any plans that differ from that.
Okay, is there any other public comment? Okay. On the, committee members, are there any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I had a question. I'm looking at the windows, and I love the windows of your home. I love that style with the muttons the way that they are. But not all of them on their drawings are the same as that. So I was kind of curious, what is the window that is above your condenser unit there, which is probably a bathroom or a kitchen or something? Is that a similar style to that mutton, or is it the typical 2x2?
No, we haven't chosen any of the windows yet, but we're working with John Kirk, who is really adamant, as well as my husband and I, about keeping just the same style and preserving any of the historic nature of the home, because we really want it to look exactly like the house did. If you're talking about the top photo, there's like a long window that you're looking at, that's in the staircase.
Yeah, there's a shorter one. It's on the, I don't know which direction that is, but it's on your side yard. It seems to be the only one that's a smaller window, which you have a lot of smaller windows in this addition, because I can tell because it's in bathroom, closet,
Yeah,
and stuff
probably
like that. So I was curious of what the precedent on your home was, but if you were totally going for matching, that's what I'd love to hear. I love your windows on there, so.
So do we, yeah.
Yeah, that's staff recommendation too, so. Okay,
I think we're actually going to try to reuse, I think you said that we were taking out one window. We're going to try to reuse that same window in the home.
Great, great. That's what we like to hear.
okay, we're going to, is there any other public comment? We're going to end the public portion and start the committee portion. Is there any discussion on the committee about this?
Just a curiosity, what is the difference between the pitch, the height of the pitch of the original house and that addition? It looks enormously tall in this rendering.
And that might just
What
be
is it?
a
I can't-
hand drawing issue.
No, I don't know.
I mean, from a hand drawing, it
Where's
looks.
the second floor?
Yeah, I see it. I just can't read it.
Something 2.0 and
Says-
9.
Roof slope to match existing.
Yep.
She's talking the floor height from.
Yeah, I'm talking the
It looks like it's 10
From-
feet
10 feet high.
from finished floor, so.
9 foot.
It goes 9 foot.
Nine-
11.
nine
so-
and a
No, 11, because 9
11.
foot, 2 foot, I'm assuming for trusses, so it's 11. So.
Anything else?
And that double height window, that's on the staircase, right? Makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any motions?
It's a deep lot.
Yeah.
First, I was looking at the scale of everything, and I was like, is this a double lot? And I was
Yeah.
like, no.
I don't- we
This
got
is-
really lucky
These are the
with it.
really deep lots on
Yeah,
Park, yeah.
plenty of room.
And I think the fact that the lot is deep helps this project, because what you're just
Exactly.
saying, looking at just the elevation with the second story height, it looks like it's dwarfing the original house, but I don't believe that it will appear that way once built.
Okay, that was my concern.
Yeah.
It looked like this huge,
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree on that kind of lot, the perspective will help it, because I've got a 2-story on my neighborhood, most probably have seen it, the 2-story that's right on Sykes, going down there, it's a greenish, olivish color on there, and I think the second story totally takes over the original front of the house, but this, I think, would be perfectly fine.
And we've got 3-story units next to us with 1-story, but a really tall attic. And honestly, you look out my kitchen window, which is a house beyond that, and it's just a short rise. It's not as massive as it sounds when you're going from 1-story to 3-story. So, anyone want to motion?
A motion to approve as noted by staff. I think this will be a wonderful addition to your home.
Second. Natalie seconds. Let's do a roll call here. Motion to approve, Melinda Rinker, approve. Chris Olson,
4?
Lynn Dennis. Landis Fleming.
4.
Natalie Oldenkamp. 4. Cesar Perez.
4.
Michael Porter.
4.
And the motion is approved. Congratulations. Go forth and build it.
We'll have plenty of room for the babies.
All right.
I'm pregnant with twins.
Oh, really?
In the what? What did you say?
Okay.
Second.
Oh.
Twin preference.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Okay. Our next one is HPB 23-020, 201 East Main Street. Final approval requested for recessing the glass storefront windows and entry door on the north elevation of the building on the subject property. Owner is Dr. Sabkib Khan, applicant Mr. Solomon Wasif, Lakeland Loft. Okay. Are there any conflicts of interest on the committee? Okay, seeing none, Emily, would you read staff recommendations, please?
Sure, thank you. The subject property is located on the southeast corner of South Tennessee Avenue and East Main Street and consists of one lot of record with a total area of .10 acres. And on this property is a two-story commercial building built circa 1959. This building is a non-contributing structure in the Munn Park Historic District. Historically, this building has served office uses on both floors. Currently, the second floor serves Lakeland Loft, while the ground floor is unoccupied at this time. This masonry vernacular building features a stucco exterior cladding, a pedimented parapet roofline, and horizontal sculptured banding. Glass and metal storefront windows exist on the north and west ground floor elevations, and the north elevation has an off-centered and recessed double-door entry. So this is just showing the west elevation. In addition to a renovation of the building's ground floor interior, the applicant requests to remove the existing storefront windows, doors, and framing on the north elevation and recess this feature 25 feet inside the existing footprint of the ground floor, where the materials of the storefront will be reused and reinstalled. The storefront windows on the west elevation will remain as is. The masonry wall structure surrounding the storefront will not be altered, but may be repainted. And this is just showing you an existing floor plan and a proposed floor plan. This request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced here. Staff finds that the proposed request meets the intent of the standards and design guidelines in terms of not destroying historic building fabric or adversely affecting architectural integrity, as the subject building is a non-contributing structure within the Munn Park Historic District. Staff finds that the existing storefront does not have a unique design or distinctive materials or is otherwise historically important, and that the relocation of the storefront is reversible. The proposed recessed storefront area provides a design strategy to serve a variety of uses for the building and extend its useful life, which is consistent specifically with the commercial area design guidelines. The recessed storefront treatment is consistent with other storefronts along East Main Street, including Black & Brew and Linksters. So staff recommends that a simply designed metal handrail balustrade or knee wall is installed along the north elevation footprint of the existing storefront windows to provide a traditional bulkhead appearance and prevent a trip hazard from the existing storefront base, or to remove this space altogether. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions to be approved by staff before a building permit application is submitted. Number one, install a simply designed metal handrail, balustrade, or knee wall along the north elevation footprint of the existing storefront windows above the storefront base, or remove the space altogether. Number two, provide an exterior paint palette if repainting the exterior of the building. And number three, this is just an informational point, signage will require additional historical review and sign permit application. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, is the applicant here? And would you like to say anything in support of the request?
Good morning, Solomon Wassef, 1512 Mariner Road, Lakeland, Florida, 33801. I just believe that building has been, there for a very long time, as Emily said, 1959, and I've been in Lakeland almost 30 years. This building has been neglected and have not seen really a good area and always look the same. And what I'm planning to do is just to really improve it, and it's going to look really pretty in the corner. There's two major construction happen in the corner where Nathan used to be, and have not been any construction over there, and now it really looks nice. Like almost every single building in my street is being remodeled except that building. This building seen, many tenants in the past, and the last two tenants, they've been, the first one maybe 3 years, which is RB funding, stayed there even less than that. They closed it. The gaming room stayed there for about less than 6 months. They closed it. I believe if we don't do something to that building, we're going to continue to see the same thing because, as you see, even if I open it and extend what I'm proposing right now, is not going to be attractive. We just need to do something to this building. And we're not doing any construction work. All we're doing, taking that glass, moving the glass to the back, using the same type of glass, put it in a frame, and make a big, long, wall with the two big doors, just like she says, Black and Brew and Linkster as well. Yes, sir.
Just out of curiosity, on your floor plan, you're showing bathrooms in both of them, but yet in the proposed, you got new men's and new women's.
Correct. There's 2 existing bathrooms at this time, and they are ADA regulation, so we are not going to mess with that. I believe because of capacity of the building, we're just going to increase and add additional 2 bathrooms, and they are both going to be unisex bathroom because really we have no use for these rooms, and so we're going to just add additional bathroom to the convenience of the guest.
Okay. Any other public comment? Any other questions from the committee?
Emily, is it signage and all that gonna be on the next review? Because, he says they're gonna, it's historic, so I think signage has to get his own review, right?
Correct, yeah. And
How it
signage,
looks and all that.
yeah, signage is usually eligible for staff level review unless it's an internally lighted sign, then it would come back to the design review
Okay.
committee.
May I?
Sure.
Right now, we already know the design of the sign is going to be the same design as what we have on the Lakeland Loft, which is a plexiglass. It's going to be no lighting. It's not going to require anything. Yes, you see the same sign like what we see right now, but it's going to say with the plexiglass, the name of the place, which is going to be an Island Breeze. And it's going to be designed like a surfing board, Lakeland Island Breeze.
Okay. We're going to, if there's no further commentary, we're going to end the public comment portion and move to the discussion from the committee. Any other discussion from the committee on this?
So in the proposed elevation,
You come
Up
to the
the
microphone.
microphone.
As Emily mentioned, I just want to make sure we're clear on the condition. She says we have to put railing on that. I just don't see a reason for that. And the reason why, because this is the same measurement as other location around. But if we decide to put metal and you guys require me to put something for safety, I do not want it to be a metal, maybe something unique, like maybe a log, because this is going to be an island theme, okay? We want it to look like you are going in an island. We're going to have a fan mist outside, so to give you the, make you feel like you are sometimes on the water. It's going to have a big, on the side, as you walk into the building, we're not going to touch anything, so it's going to be a wall. I'd like to have a big mirror with the beach and a railing, just as a drawing, like a 3D art work on that.
Okay.
Just want to say that on the railing if we decide to go for that.
It does say a simply designed metal handrail balustrade or knee wall along the north elevation footprint.
Yeah. Or we, just like you said, we might have to remove the whole thing and it will be okay with us as well too.
Right. Yeah, I would make a comment that like a more rustic log or wood probably wouldn't be appropriate for this type of building at the front.
Okay.
That's something that you could add within the building.
Okay.
But yeah, something to just reflect a very simple stylistic choice to match what the building's masonry exterior would be appropriate.
Okay, if we decide to do that, I just request not to be really high, so people can really see the effect on the inside. We have in color chairs, just like a beach chair inside the color table. And I would like to have, we talked about from the inside, a facade with the, like what you see on the beach in a tiki bar.
And this particular, whatever you want to call this knee wall base of the building, this might be a building code issue. I don't know what the measurement would be where they would consider it a hazard.
I understand.
So if it's not a hazard, if it can just remain as is and
If
still
it-
meet the building code,
If it's not on the right of way, it's not going to be an issue other than, this is me as a professional architect telling you, if there is a difference between your sidewalk and the slab, you're not required really to do anything with that, but paint it yellow so people don't
can-
trip over it.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's what I'd say probably is your best route with this is if you don't want to build something that is not within the theming of your restaurant, which I totally understand and agree with, your best route probably is just to take it out, not have anything there, and make that the distinction, and I'm okay with that as well. So as long as it doesn't feel like it's part of the building, then by all means, if I understand it goes with the theming of your restaurant, just as long as it's something that we all know can be removed at any one point. When you go to the point of building what like Molly's would be, that's where as a historic board, I would be concerned that it matches the building. If it's a railing, I wouldn't have any objection to whatever it is. I know that can be pulled out at any point. It's not actually a permanent fixture of the building by any means.
I would say just with whatever changes you're looking to do, get with Emily to verify that that's acceptable for, staff approval level
right?
on
Thank you.
this.
Not a problem. I mean, maybe the best thing for us to remove it because that's not a permanent one and have it right now maybe more matching the Black and Brew and Leinster because they don't have anything. The whole thing will be open. Maybe that will be a better idea. I do agree with that.
That would work.
Thank you.
Okay, and is any other commentary here? We're now going to call for a motion if there is none.
Thank you.
I move that we approve it according to staff recommendations.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we'll vote by roll call. Myself, approve for the motion. Chris Olson,
For the motion.
Lynn Dennis,
For the motion?
Landis Fleming,
Or,
Natalie Oldenkamp, Cesar Perez,
For.
Michael Porter.
Or
Okay, approved per staff recommendations. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Sally.
Okay, we have one more person patiently waiting back here. He's like, hi. HPB 23-022, 809 Osceola Street. Final approval requested for the construction of a second-story accessory dwelling unit above the existing detached garage on the subject property. Owner is Mr. Greg Neely, the applicant, Mr. Dan Sherritt, Sherritt Construction. Are there any conflicts of interest with the committee members? Okay, we'll check with Bruce when he gets back as well.
He had to go teach.
Oh, he's, okay, not a problem. Then, Emily, would you please read the staff report?
Yep. Thank you, Madam Chair. The subject property consists of one interior lot of record consisting of .12 acres. This property has alley access to the rear. And on the property is a one-story single-family house constructed in 2016 to reflect the bungalow architectural style, which is a non-contributing building in the East Lake Morton Historic District. According to the Polk County Property Appraiser's Office, the total living area of this house is 1,447 square feet. The applicant requests to remove the gabled roof of the existing detached garage and construct a second-story accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, on top of the garage, which is located in the rear yard of the subject property. The exterior dimensions of the ADU will match the garage and will be 19 feet 10 inches by 21 feet 5 inches for a total area of 424 square feet. The new second story will feature a gabled roof with a 4/12 pitch matching the existing garage roof. The ADU will be accessed by an external stair. The second story apartment will feature a full width balcony on the east elevation of the building. And materials proposed to be used for the garage apartment include hardy board lap siding to match the existing, hardy trim, casing, and corner boards, vinyl single hung sash windows, fiberglass entry door, asphalt shingles on a 4/12 pitch roof to match the existing, and wood stairs and balcony. The site plan submitted for this request shows building setbacks of 9 feet from the west side property line, 7.16 feet from the east side property line, and 20 feet from the rear property line, which, excuse me, which meets the requirements set forth in the city's land development code. And this request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced. In evaluating the request with the standards, staff finds that the second story addition to the existing garage does not disturb the spatial relationships of surrounding buildings, and the essential form and integrity of the principal house is maintained. Materials similar to the existing garage and house will be used, which provides compatibility with the existing structures on the property. In evaluating the request with the design guidelines, staff finds that the subordinate scale of the second story addition and its simplified design to be consistent with the guidelines. Staff finds the materials and design of the windows, doors, external stair, and roof pitch to be consistent with the guidelines as well. And the structure is appropriately located to the rear of the lot with vehicular access from the alley. This structure is compatible with the development pattern in the Lake Morton neighborhood, in which accessory buildings are commonly found in both historic and contemporary form. For compliance with the Land Development Code subsection 4.3.2 regarding accessory dwelling units, as well as approval by the Planning and Zoning Board, the site plan must also show one additional off-street parking space to accommodate the ADU for compatibility review purposes. The building setbacks as shown on the site plan comply with the Land Development Code requirements. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions. Use fiber cement lap siding with a maximum exposure of 6 inches. Number 2, windows must be installed with a recess to provide a shadow line instead of installed flush to the exterior wall. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Is the applicant here to provide support for the request? Please come forward, state your name and address, please.
Good morning, I'm Dan Sherritt with Sherritt Construction, and we are at 124 West Main Street.
Are they okay with all of the staff recommendations, all of that? Is there any concerns?
No, I think this is exactly what we'd had proposed to do, so this all looks good. Mr. Neely is building this for his parents to move into, who are currently looking for a place to be taken care of. So,
Okay. Is there any other public comment? Anything from the committee to ask the applicants?
I had one question. So the colors of this home are quite bright, so it's hard to not notice certain features of it. The home, the main home, and including what's the existing portion now, kind of has that, I don't know whether it's functional or not, but it's certainly, you've painted another color at the top of the gable end there, which looks kind of like they normally have a vented ridge up there and use that. Whether it's functional or not, is there intent to do the same thing when they raise it up on there? Because it's certainly a feature of the existing home. So it's just.
I mean, I think it probably is functional. It probably is an attic vent, so I would imagine there's going to be a requirement for some kind of ventilation for the attic. So whether we do that, if that's the design we have to do, we can for sure. As far as whatever meets the criteria, but
What's
I
the
think probably
current request on that?
sorry.
It's not.
Or it's.
Well, I'm asking, again, I wouldn't require it by any means. It's just, it's certainly something, it's hard to miss on a home so brightly
Miss
colored.
this house in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you miss it, it's going to bite you.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love it if it followed the rest of the home, but I wouldn't make it a requirement. Because it's certainly not, it's not unusual to be either direction with that. It's just, it certainly would be consistent with the home. And if they intend to color it as brightly, yeah.
I'll just do a pink, I'm happy.
With the chartreuse ribbon.
Right. Ooh.
Make a statement.
Has there been any discussion about the windows? I see the existing ones are all 6/1. They look like sandwich.
It does look like the existing is a 6/1, yeah, with the sandwich muntins.
Yeah, and the renderings don't just show a 1/1. Has there been any discussion around those?
No, there hasn't. That would be a good question for Mr. Sherritt.
Oh, yeah, I think that's just the drawing, just didn't include that. However, I have in the past been allowed to do a 1/1 on accessory buildings, instead of doing the,
Yeah,
whatever
and
matches.
a 1/1 would be acceptable for this.
So I don't think the owner cares either way. We can do, and I do see that those are not the exterior mutton windows.
Right.
So if we do an exterior mutton on the second floor, it's not going to match that one. So it might actually be better to do a 1/1.
I think so too. I would agree.
Is that something you're?
This is something I was asking about, because the rendering didn't show either way, and I wasn't sure if it was just going to be a 1/1 or not.
The 6/1 looks very nice, though, with that, kind of really pulls it to a lot of the neighborhood as well.
I agree. I just know that all the windows on that house are not compliant. So we make just the ones on the top floor of the garage compliant, and
Right.
I don't know. So
Make it look odd.
that's the first thing I saw when I pulled up. It's like, well, those are all wrong.
Yeah, they are.
I would never, on a non-contributing home, I don't think I'd make any fuss over that, because on new windows, those are things you can buy and put on later.
Yeah.
So something that can be easily ripped off by a hurricane,
Yeah.
They are removable. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, any other committee discussion here? We're going to end the public comment portion, and if there's any more committee discussion, please continue.
Move for approval with staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor, Melinda Rinker, 4. Chris Olson,
4.
Lynn Dennis,
4.
Landis Fleming,
4.
Natalie Oldenkamp, 4. Cesar Perez,
4.
Michael Porter,
Or,
and you are approved. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Is there any other business? Nope.
I don't have
Okay, anyone like to, motion to end this, or are we going to continue the party for another hour?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Thank you all.
Opposed? Nah. Aye. Y'all have a wonderful week, and next month we will be over at the,
No, in May.
oh, May.
May.
Oh, that's a few months.
Yeah, we've got some time.
That's in May.
Just enough for you to forget.